gracious hosts, unique lodging, and tasty cuisine. New Mexico bed and breakfasts are New Mexico true. Our innkeepers are as special as New Mexico, and we're sharing their stories. Read about them and plan your trip at nmbba.org. Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio. You know we love our second Thursdays with the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association, where we get to chat about different inns and what's happening across the state. And today we're going north. We're going to go up to Taos. Taos is known as being an art destination, so rich in natural beauty. Oh my gosh, there is so much you can do outdoors, no matter what time of year, but also so much cultural history. Again, like I said, the arts and really good food. I'm just saying, there's a lot of good food there. So when you plan your trip anywhere in New Mexico, go to the website NMBBA, the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association. So it's nmbba.org. Of course, listen here on Big Blend Radio every second Thursday. But today we're going to chat with Christine Scypinski. She is the owner of Adobe and Pines Inn in Taos. And you go to her website, adobepines.com. And I'm excited to have her back on the show because her inn is truly a piece of the historic Southwest. It is an 1832 Adobe. So welcome back to the show, Christine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Lisa, for having me back. I'm excited.
I know it's exciting to talk about the inn because, you know, we've seen photos and Nancy and I so want to come see you. I mean, Taos is beautiful.
Oh,
We've
please.
been there, the end of March. So we kind of there was snow. We went up through Angel Fire, went to that giant bridge you guys have that still scares me, but I still did it. And so sunset over that bridge. Is it the
Oh,
Rio
yeah.
Gorge Bridge? What bridge is it? Got to refresh my
It is
memory here.
it's the Rio Grande National Monument. The bridge is part of that, so it's the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge. I think is its full name.
Huge.
It's the ninth tallest bridge in the United States. It's a steel structure bridge, and all the structure is below the road. So if you drive over it at night, you don't even know you're on it. You got to go out in the daytime. Sunrise, sunset, beautiful. There's some great hikes out there.
Yeah, when we were there, it was sunset. And, you know, we were still at that beginning before spring. So it was like March, I think. I have to go look on my records on the dates. But, you know, you still had snow on the ground out in Angel Fire and those areas. And on the way into Taos in the National Forest area, there was snow, but it wasn't anything that's, you know, going to mess you up. Except for Nancy took me on some weird, crazy joyride going to some park on the border of Colorado and New Mexico. And you may want four-wheel drive if Nancy is your passenger and demands, oh, they say you're going to see wildlife no matter what. Well, thank you. The undercarriage of the car went bye-bye because you don't listen to your mother who says, it doesn't matter if you don't have four-wheel drive. You know, we could do this. But anyhow, we had
on the
blast.
main roads, you're okay. You must have got off on a side road.
Getting in there, but on the bridge. So we went and had sunset over and looked over the bridge. And what was so beautiful is the snow-capped mountains with the sunset and this bridge. And I mean, this gorge. You've got this massive gorge and the water. So I feel like you guys got a lot of snow this winter. I'm feeling like there's going to be whitewater rafting all through the Southwest this year and all kinds of just epic nature experiences coming into spring. It's going to be wild, like really cool.
Yeah, whitewater rafting usually starts in mid-March. So spring break happens here pretty much the whole month of March. We get people from all the surrounding states that drive in, a few that fly in, but, you know, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, California. We get all of those spring breaks that overlap through the month of March. So a lot of those are families coming up to ski with their kids, take them for ski lessons. We have 4 ski areas up here. But whitewater rafting starts mid-March. That's when the water's the highest because of the snow melt happening. You have to wear wetsuits, but they usually provide the wetsuits for you that early in the year. And then it goes until October. So people don't think of whitewater rafting that early, but that's when it's really good. Because the water's high, you get a really good ride. They take you up into the box and other areas. Later in the summer, the box doesn't have enough water. So if you want a really challenging rafting, that's a good time to go. You know, and now they all have the funyaks. With the rafting, they do dinner floats.
Ooh.
A lot of the rafting companies, which is fun. They'll grill fish maybe that you catch right there on the water. Yeah, or off the
Ah,
side of the water, I guess. A
so
funyak's
it's,
like a kayak that you stand on
oh, like the paddle boarding
and you have the
people, like,
paddle. Yeah, like the paddle boarding. So that's real
oh,
popular up here.
so we better
Yeah,
have
they
our
have
wine
whitewater
after that.
races.
We need our wine
Mother's
after
Day.
that.
After that, yeah.
Oh,
Bring your mom up. Bring Nancy up on
yeah.
Mother's
Oh,
Day. They have whitewater
you
races. And you can go to the
really?
Lilac Festival usually. They have a concert at Kit Carson with local musicians and a lot of different traditional cultural musicians from different ethnic backgrounds here. Yeah, so that's a fun
Yeah.
event on Mother's
You,
Day.
that's what's so interesting too about New Mexico is the cultural diversity that is there. And when you've got Spanish, you've got the Native American, indigenous peoples, you've got here come the settlers, and there's even German, right, going in there. There's um a lot of European history too. So it's
Mm.
really cool to explore that, that cultural diversity to me when you're in New Mexico. And because there's just so many connections that tie back to the state. I mean, really, it is just so cool to experience. And doing the music, like you're saying, going to a concert at Kit Carson Park, going to the art. I think Taos, first thing people think of is the art when they think about Taos, is art.
As they should.
Mm,
Dating way back to the Native American art. Art has been here for thousands of years in
mm,
thousands of ways, probably. Music is art also.
mhm.
But there's all kinds of arts festivals, and they're adding a new one. It's a new annual event. I think it happened last year for the first time in the spring, called the Spring Out. It's part of the Taos Spring Arts Festival, I think, that happens in April and May. So we have what they call the Paseo in September, which is the biggest arts festival. That's part of the Fall Arts Festival. Then they do Open Studios. They do the Paseo, which is a more interactive art festival. They have things that move and lights that give you messages on buildings, and they have a good
Oh,
light show. Yeah, so the Paseo is really popular, but they
mm.
don't usually do a whole lot in the spring. So this Taos Spring Arts Festival is kind of a way to spread it out over the year a little bit. So that should be exciting this year. That's happening in April and May. And all of this is on the taos.org website, which is a great town website. As the
Mm.
events get booked and determined and dates are solidified, all of that appears first on the taos.org website.
Very cool. And so,
Yeah,
and also everyone can go to your site, adobepines.com. You've got some regional information, but I also want to focus on
right.
your inn because when we talk about the arts, I believe like looking at the photos and just looking at the rooms and the architecture being Adobe, an Adobe Hacienda, and also just the fact that you really are, caring about the environment. And I think when we go to our historic roots of something, that things were built way back when with the environment in mind, working with the environment, and somehow we got away from that. And I think what you're doing at the inn is really quite outstanding. You care for the environment as well as this historic building, so you're keeping history alive with what you're doing. Can you give us a little a little history lesson on the start of the inn and the actual building itself?
Sure, sure. The inn, as far as I know, the history, and this is what was on the website before I got here, and the guests have told me because we've had some guests that own the house before it became
Mm,
a bed and breakfast and have come back to talk with us. We have black and white pictures on our website from one guest, Gary Griffin. His grandmother owned it in the 40s. So the building was built in 1832 by the Romero family, which was one of the first 10 families to settle in this part of Taos, which is called the Llano Camado
mm,
region or community of Taos, and it's the Ranchos de Taos village. There's a bunch of villages around the main Taos village. So this is a slightly older village than Taos itself, just by a few years. They built the St. Francis de Assisi's Church right up the road, probably, maybe 20 years before this house was built, and it got
mm.
burnt down and got rebuilt. So that's one of the older churches in the area, older than the other churches in town. It's one of the most photographed churches in the United States, from what I understand, because of its heavy buttress adobe structure. And they remud it every year. The community took over restoring it, I think, in the 60s because it was starting to fall apart. Just like this house, by the time we got to 1940, the house was kind of dilapidated. The family that originally owned it had left, and other families had bought it, had also left. Mrs. Griffin bought it in the 40s and kind of refurbished it, restuccoed it. So it was originally Adobe blocks, sun-dried blocks, that they had to mud every year. Mrs. Griffin, I think, was the one to start using the cement stucco. So it still has Adobe, and we still restucco parts of it as we need to, but it's not like the Taos Pueblo buildings where they remud them every year, or the church up the road where they have to remud it every year and make the mixture. And you can actually go to the church. We have a video on our website, a link to it, of the mudding of the church that happens every year. It's a community event. They encourage visitors to come. The community puts on a lovely lunch for whoever's volunteering to help. And they do that, I think, every year in April or May after
I think
the
that's cool.
winter.
'Cause
Yeah, before the monsoon season and after the winter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but for people to
Yeah.
understand that building part of it. So what do you think in regards to having that kind of, building your property, having this Adobe building and
Uh,
then how it works with nature? Because doesn't it in a way, the way things were built and even shaped, like helps things like they understand, okay, monsoon season is this, and when it gets cold, we're going to need heat on this side, and things are built. I don't know. I think we kind of looked at the sun and the weather according to how we would build things, like having
I
breezeways in
agree.
certain areas.
I agree. I was a landscape architect for years, and part of that is siting buildings to take advantage of solar access, winds. You
Hmm.
want to block certain sides from harsh winter winds. So that's not where they would traditionally have put all the windows. They would have put the windows on the solar side to bring in light, to warm up the building during the day, or to keep it cool in the summertime. So they looked at all of that, where the sun was moving. Yeah, and the Adobe structure is just so soft and inviting. The light bounces off of it and really brings so much warmth to architecture. I lived in East Africa for a while, as you know. I know you did
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And their buildings are also out of sun-dried blocks that are then stuccoed with a mud combination, sometimes with
And there's a
cement and mud.
that rounding part of it too. And I think that's what's so cool. And I want to talk about your labyrinth and the rooms and everything, but I know you've, really had a good acclaim to being a very romantic destination. And, you've been in all these guides as the most romantic, inn, which is fantastic. But I think a part of that is about how things were built and just that they're rounded and having those gardens. I don't know, they're just,
Oh, yeah.
I think that allows romance, and we're looking at people traveling now that really want more of an authentic experience, and that's what New Mexico
Mm.
does, and these inns do. Here's a real experience. So when you think an 1836 hacienda, or 1832, excuse me, those 4 years are important. That, that, that creates this really, you want romance, you want kinship, you want space, you want whatever you're looking for, you'll be able to kind of find that within your property, it looks like.
Yes, you can. And the old 1832 part of the property, the main house, we have 4 rooms there. 2 on the main portal, which is an 80-foot long original portal or porch, you could call it. We have 2 there, and we have 1 upstairs, and we have 1 behind, off of the back courtyard, both of those 2. So those 4 rooms, along with the original guest house, all have wood-burning kiva fireplaces, as does the main living room. So the fireplaces themselves are romantic at night. And so many people post photos of them on, TripAdvisor, Instagram, all these different sites, because it's such a romantic feature just to have a real wood burning fireplace. And they're small, and they only take a few pieces of wood at a time, but that's so romantic, the crackle and the dim light and the shadows bouncing off of the walls in your room. It's really beautiful.
Now
Yeah.
I want wine. I would like a bottle of wine. I'd like to have that and that.
Wine, we can arrange
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And it goes well in spring because it still is chilly at night in the Southwest, and especially in
Yes.
northern New
Oh, yeah.
Mexico. I think it's like that. I
Hmm.
remember going to Gallup, our first time to Gallup, and we were staying in a very historic hotel there. And I think the El Rancho, well, I can't remember. Yeah, it was in all these Hollywood movies. Anyway, we're staying at this historic bed and breakfast, and I'm going, or inn, and I said, well, there's something with the heating's not working, like the air conditioning. And they're like, you're not going to need air conditioning tonight. If you really, really need air conditioning, open the window. I dare you. It was a June, July, and it was like 30,
Yeah,
40 degrees at night or something.
that's the
I'm like,
same here.
what? I really thought, we're gonna get hot. I was, we were used to, southern Arizona. Oh boy,
Yeah.
that was a wake up call to New Mexico. But that is the beauty of it. You can have sunshine and warmth during the day, and then get snuggly and cuddly at night. That's cozy and
Right,
cool. I love
exactly.
it.
Even at this time of year, yesterday it went up to 50. I think it's only going up to 40 today. Um, and it's going down into the teens at night. So
Oh
it's
wow.
beautiful. Even in the winter, we get a few weeks where it's down at 0 and is really, frigid out. But by the afternoon, it's warm enough to take a great hike. Yeah, it's not
Ooh.
so cold all day. It's just cold in
Hmm.
the morning and at night, and then it warms up. Yeah, so it's high desert is a beautiful type of weather. And there's no humidity. We get snow, so we have the 4 seasons. I know you've talked with other innkeepers about all the different seasons, all the birding as the
Mm.
seasons change. We have all that up here in Taos also. Yeah, our site alone has been inventoried for birds because there's
Oh.
just so many different ones. Yeah, if you go on some of those websites, what is it, eBird? I think
Hmm.
we've had a ton of guests come through and take an inventory of what we had here, and we have
You
quite a
got to have
few
road runners, right? Because I
birds.
mean, that's New Mexico's
Oh yeah,
bird. Got to have the
yeah,
road runners, and
definitely
then
road runners. And the
what?
ravens, we have a number of raven nests on our
Oh,
property
that's
every year. So
that's
the
one of my
ravens are
favorite
constantly
things.
here.
Oh,
Mm.
New Mexico. You know you're in New Mexico just by here you are in the Raven Zone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I think that that should be your other, state bird, is that,
I
but
agree. I agree.
hummingbirds, you got hummingbirds too, right?
Oh yeah, lots of good hummingbirds. We put out feeders on the front porch and the back porch where we have our breakfast area, and people can watch the hummingbirds all during breakfast. Sometimes they're battling it out for those feeders. We get some of I think it's the rufous that are a little more aggressive, and they'll come in and just say, "These are mine," and so people
Yeah,
watch the birds all during breakfast, which is nice.
do you get a lot of people coming in for more of a spiritual retreat as well because of the labyrinth and just going to be out and communing with nature? Because it seems to me like if you wanted some solace, some tranquility, some rejuvenation. You are a rejuvenation station. You are.
We
Just
are. We
yeah.
are. We say come here to replenish your soul, rediscover Adobe history. Right here in the heart of the Southwest, we're a romantic getaway. We're a meditative getaway. Um, we love having families here. We have a family suite. We have outdoor hot tubs, one that's big enough for 6 people. To go with different suites and casitas. So we have friends and family come, we have family reunions, we have small weddings, elopements, because the labyrinth represents the journey of life. So we get a lot of people wanting
Ooh.
to elope in our labyrinth. And they usually walk it individually on the way
Oh,
in, get to the center. There's an officiant there to marry them, a few witnesses. Sometimes it's just 4 people, maybe a photographer, and then they walk back out together, embracing what they want in their life together. So it's very symbolic. Yeah,
that
we've
is beautiful. That is beautiful to
we've
have
had women's
elopements.
exploration retreats here
Hmm.
where they've done all kinds of self and group exploration and then gone and learned about the history at the Pueblo or had the people from the Pueblo come here. A few years ago, we had a wonderful one that a woman from Florida um, arranged the entire
Hmm.
retreat, and she brought a gentleman from the Taos Pueblo with his kids. They were a
Hmm.
dance group that went all over Europe doing Native American dancing, and they came and did a Native American dance in our back courtyard. They
Oh.
explained the history of the Pueblo, what it's like to live there, grow up there. So they had a whole evening by the fire in our living room, and
Mm.
just they made dream catchers together. It was beautiful. It was
You know,
really beautiful to see. We've
I
had
think it's
yoga
really,
retreats here.
just the Southwest too. If you haven't been, like you see it on TV, you see it in magazines and then websites, right? But until you get there, you don't really understand the enchantment and you need that experience. Do you see a lot of jaws drop and change of uh vibe of a person once they kind of get into the high desert and feel
Oh
the
yeah,
Zen moment, the enchantment. Was if you've been back
absolutely.
east, it's so different because of the big skies, you know.
Right. I know Carolyn out at the Abiquiu, the hacienda, Grand Hacienda, I think, out in
Yes, yeah.
Abiquiu,
Uh-huh.
has talked about how people come from New York and other places where it's really hustle bustle, and they come with a grand list of what they want to do, and then they get to your bed and breakfast or you're in, and they settle in, and they're just like, well, maybe we'll sleep in a little. We'll enjoy
Yeah.
the inn. We'll go to the Pueblo, and that's
Yeah.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
their list gets smaller. They start to relax as soon as they come down our driveway. We have a lot of
Oh.
trees in our front acre, which is
Mm.
unusual for being out on the mesa. There's hardly any trees, so you come here as kind of an oasis. And you come
Well,
down the driveway, people start to relax right then.
people don't realize like deserts, you can have gardening. I know we've touched on that with you before too, about like you can have these beautiful plants and there's just something magical about a desert, and there are little oases if you want them and you create them, and
Mhm.
nature has her own too with wetlands. So I think that's a
Mhm.
really special thing, is to be able to have you know, those kind of moments and to shock people with it. It's like, yes, we have the desert, rugged drama, that rich, the vibrant colors of the soil and the rocks, and then you get the skies that are open and wide. And then if you've got monsoon season, you've got serious drama. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing like monsoon season. It's my favorite thing is to be in the Southwest in the monsoon. And everybody goes, oh, don't go to the Southwest in the summer. I'm like, dudes, you're so missing out. It is
Oh
like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's nature in all her glory going, hell yes, look at me. I can beat my drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It wreaks havoc on big concerts. Luckily this year, the Robert Plant and Alison Krauss concert is scheduled before monsoon season
Oh,
starts. Last
good.
year we had Lau Lovett, and I forget who else
Oh,
was here, and it rained.
oh, well,
People had to pick up their chairs, run for cover, and then come back. They did the concert, but there was a little bit of an interruption.
yeah, but you
We had a
gotta,
great
you gotta,
monsoon season last year.
yeah, that's awesome because that's really the water table needs some replenishing in
Oh yeah.
Southwest. So I think this winter, are you expecting, from winter snow and rain, are you expecting a good wildflower season this summer and spring?
I think we are probably not as good as last year because the monsoon season
Oh,
just kept happening. I think it went through September last year through many areas of New Mexico, which was the longest I've ever seen. I heard it was the best one in 18 years. So this year the snow isn't as plentiful as it was actually the year before, I think. We might have gotten more snow. But we did have
oh,
I think we have enough snow. We've had more snow in different years. Like the skiing is
mm,
good this year, but it's not the best that it's been
mm.
since I've been here over the last like
Oh,
8, 9 years. Yeah, we've had some better years. But there's enough
oh,
snow. We have 4 ski areas up here in Taos, and there's definitely enough snow. And it's been super cold at night, so they're making a lot of snow where it hasn't
mm,
snowed naturally. But I hear the rivers are pretty good right now. The rivers
mm,
are getting to get high in the spring. But I don't know how long it'll last. It depends how much more snow we get
mm.
for the
You
rest
never
of the
know.
winter.
The weather's been
Yeah, we're in the
wonky.
heart of ski season right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, that's,
yeah, in
it's
fact, the freeboard, what is it called? The Free Ride International Free Skiers and Snowboarders. They come here every year in March up in Ski Valley and have a competition. That's towards the end of spring break. So our snow usually goes through March.
mm.
That's when they're planning that event.
Well,
Yeah.
and everyone, again, you go to adobepines.com and connect, always call and, check in on things too. But I think it's, we were there again in the snow time. And unless you take like Nancy's crazy roads off of something off the beaten path, you're fine. Really, because it was that,
Yeah, if you stay
yeah.
on the Enchanted Circle on the main road,
And
you're okay usually.
yeah, we were at the Dreamcatcher at that time. We didn't know about you, and the Dreamcatcher was wonderful. Also a member of the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association. And you know, she said, maybe I said, this is where you want to go. And of course, you know, we just did a detour, and I kept saying to Nancy, we should have listened to the innkeepers. And then we did, and we had an amazing time. Your area is beautiful. I mean, there's just you know, there's forest, and like you were saying, you don't expect that of New Mexico until you go there. And
Right.
it is just a whole different kind of setting. And it's such a fresh, it's fresh. Like when we got up there, the first thing we were like, oh my God, this is fresh air. Like it's real fresh air and clean. And
Mm.
um it was the first thing, you know, we got out of the car, there was snow around, we were in the forest, and we're just like, oh my gosh, this is magic. This is absolutely beautiful, fresh magic. And we had a wonderful time. Too short. Definitely, I'm going to say you want to stay more than a weekend if you can. And now travel midweek too. Everybody's working online, and you know, it's a different world. So you can
Right.
travel midweek, which is great. And you know, do that. But before you go, Christine, give us a preview of what is being served for breakfast tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're having roasted root vegetables and an omelet
Ooh.
with, I think we're having blue corn atoli as the first course. In the winter, we do more oatmeal, a breakfast quinoa, you know,
Mm.
with fruit and nuts in it. Blue corn atoli is like it's a Pueblo tradition, but I think it came from the Spanish originally.
Mm.
It's a blue corn flour that's ground very
Mm.
coarsely, and the Pueblo grows their own blue corn and grinds it and sells it at the Red Willow market that they have.
Oh,
It's like a
wow.
farmer's market for the
Oh,
Pueblo.
wow.
But they also sell it in the grocery stores. And it's really quite easy to make. It's like a multi-meal out of blue corn, and you
Mm.
can put whatever you want in it. We usually put brown sugar, some butter. It gets nice and creamy. We put some dried fruit and nuts, sometimes blueberries, cranberries, depending on the season. But it
Mm.
really warms you up, sticks to your bones a bit. We do a very healthy breakfast.
Mm.
So we're doing blue corn atoli tomorrow, roasted veggie omelets, some smoked sausage on the side for those who eat sausage. We cater to all kinds of different food
Mm.
preferences and dietary restrictions. You know, some people are vegan now.
Gluten
We get
free.
more vegans than we ever used to.
Mm.
We've always gotten vegetarians who just abstain from the meat part, but now we're getting many more vegans, and we can accommodate that pretty easily. We have some great recipes for vegans. Um, we get a lot of
Hey,
gluten free, and you know from your time being a innkeeper that there's a
yeah,
lot of
the
different
weekend, the
dietary restrictions
weekender
sometimes.
innkeepers. Yeah, people have their changes of diet, but it is about what your body likes and doesn't like. And sometimes it may not be a real allergy. It's just like, you know, I'm not going to do well with this. And when you're on
Right,
vacation, you
right,
want to enjoy your food. And so I think that
yeah,
if you don't like certain things, you know, if you like, me and raw tomatoes don't get along. We don't like each other. And then if you give me all the ketchup, spaghetti sauce, anything with tomato in it that's been cooked, cooked tomatoes, fried tomatoes.
you're
I
good.
don't care. I'm
Mhm.
in. But then I did
Yeah.
discover heirloom tomatoes. I can do a little bit of that. So it's I think it's about how fresh and how your produce has been raised. Is it organic? Is it
Mhm.
not? You know, sometimes it doesn't have to be organic to be clean of pesticides. It's about being local. And that's again, you know, bed and breakfast. This is a huge thing about travel, and bed and breakfasts are not giving you, here's your frozen waffle. You know,
Right.
that's
Yeah, we're more locally sourced. We have our own
mhm.
chickens here. Our girls are a little old right
Oh,
now, but over the years we've gotten a lot of fresh eggs from those girls. You know, we had
oh,
28 at one point, and we're getting 28 eggs a day. We were giving them away. Now they're a little
wow.
bit older. We're about ready to get some new chicks.
Oh,
This spring, maybe we'll get some new chicks, and then we'll
yeah.
be back in the egg business, which is a good time since eggs are a little scarce these days with all the
Oh, I
avian
love
flu
it.
going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
lovely to
having fresh
hear
eggs
them.
right here is nice.
Yeah, I mean,
What was that?
we've taken care of chicken farm like chickens and you know, as we travel the country. And just getting that fresh egg, knowing where it came from, and there's just nothing like it compared to store-bought that has been in, someone's fridge for 6 months. Because they do,
Right.
like, if you look at those dates, I mean, some of these eggs are like, and then I don't know, but just fresh there's just the whole other flavor that you just don't get. Like,
You're
it's
right.
magic.
You're
Yeah.
right. It's what you feed them. Yeah. And
Mhm.
then we have our own gardens. A lot of bed and breakfasts have their own orchards. I can't say that word. Apple trees,
Orchards.
plum
Yeah.
trees. We
Yeah.
grow
Is
some of our own berries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. We
cool.
have our own mints.
Oh,
We grow the
nice.
vegetables that we put in our frittata, although now we're using more Japanese
Sure.
purple sweet potatoes because they'll make you live to be
Ooh,
100, is what they're
good.
saying.
Good. I'm
And they're
in.
beautiful. They're beautiful in our frittatas. They're tasty.
Mm,
They're beautiful. Yeah, they roast nicely with our other roasted vegetables. So we'll put those in our omelets tomorrow.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Everyone, adobepines.com is the website. Again, we're here
Oh, and
every
green
second
chili.
Thursday. Oh, oh,
Green chili on the side, always.
if we don't mention that, like, someone's gonna yell at if we don't like
Yeah.
people yelling at us. That's not nice. But bigblendradio.com, keep up us there. And also, again, go to the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association website, which is nmbba.org. Thank you so much, Christine. It's a true delight chatting with you again. And look forward to seeing you next time we go through New Mexico. You never know. We'll be like,
Yes,
hey,
I'd
we're
love to have you
driving
and
through.
Nancy here.
Oh my
I'd
gosh.
love
Well,
that.
we'll have to do the
You just
labyrinth.
call
I
us.
think we need some zen out time. We need some chill time. We need some, relaxing, calm, and be out in nature time. So that sounds wonderful. But thank you so much. And thank you, everyone at the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association, for what you do in providing these authentic experiences for us who travel and need those places just to get we got to feel good in life. So bed and breakfasts do that, and so do New Mexico. So does New Mexico as a state. So thank you all. Take care. Christine, you take care, and we'll see you down the road.
You too. Thank you, Lisa. Say hi to Nancy for me.
I will. Gracious hosts, unique lodging, and tasty cuisine. New Mexico bed and breakfasts are New Mexico true. Our innkeepers are as special as New Mexico, and we're sharing their stories. Read about them and plan your trip at nmbba.org.